This is from Andrew in Scotland. I think the strangest part of this story is that it didn't start strange at all. It was just another budget flight, another late night, and I honestly expected nothing memorable to happen at all. I was at the gate for a Ryanair flight from London to Ireland, scrolling my phone, half listening to boarding calls. I remember feeling tired in that dull, ordinary way. Work emails in my head, plastic airport coffee in my hand, nothing cosmic or meaningful on my mind. When they called my group, I walked down the jet bridge with everyone else, that slow shuffle where we all pretend not to be in a hurry. I found my row, dumped my bag in the overhead, and slid into the window seat, already planning to close my eyes and disappear for an hour. A minute later, I noticed a shadow stop at my row. I glanced up, ready to do that polite half-smile you give strangers on planes. But the guy blocking the aisle looked weirdly familiar, like that feeling when you see yourself in a shop window and don't recognize it's you for a second. He checked his ticket, looked at me, then at the seat number, and sort of laughed. I laughed too, but my brain was stuck on something else. His hair was cut like mine, same color, same shape, and the beard. Even the beard was almost copy-paste, like someone had cloned my face with a slightly different setting. He sat down next to me, and there was this tiny stunned silence where we both kept sneaking side glances at each other. It felt like looking into a mirror that had lived a slightly different life. I could feel the woman across the aisle staring at us, her eyes bouncing back and forth like she was watching a tennis match. One of the passengers behind us finally broke the tension with a laugh and said something like, "Excuse me, are you two related?" We both turned toward her at the same time. Same head tilt, same confused smile, and even I had to admit, if I'd seen us from the outside, I'd assume we were brothers, or some kind of prank. The man next to me, my lookalike, grinned and said, "I don't think so. I hope my mom would have mentioned you." His accent wasn't exactly the same as mine, but close enough that it added to the weirdness. I introduced myself, and he repeated my name back, like he was trying on a version of his own. A flight attendant walking by slowed down, blinked, and actually stepped back to look at us properly. "Okay, that's creepy," she joked, in the friendliest way. "You two could be twins." People around us started laughing, phones came out, and suddenly, I wasn't just a tired guy on a plane. I was one half of some bizarre double act. Someone from a few rows back leaned over and asked if we'd mind taking a photo together. We agreed, still half in shock, and posed shoulder to shoulder in that cramped airplane light. As the camera clicked, I remember thinking I always assumed I was one of a kind, and now I'm sitting next to living proof that maybe I'm not. After the photo, everyone kept chuckling and whispering about us like we were a strange glitch in the seating chart. I could feel the energy lighten around us, and I found myself laughing too. Because what else do you do when you're sitting next to your unofficial twin at 30,000 feet? When the plane took off, we finally started talking properly. His name was Tom. We said it at the same time, like a synchronized greeting, which just made people laugh again. He worked in IT, lived only an hour from where I did, and even dressed like me. Plain hoodie, jeans, worn-out sneakers. Simple, normal, too normal. We compared details like curious kids, same height, within a centimeter, same beard length, practically identical. Even our hair parted the same side without effort. He pulled out his ID to show a recent photo, and I swear it could have been mine if you changed the name and lighting. I remember staring at the ID card longer than I should have, like I was trying to understand something deep about myself through a stranger's face. It's surprisingly unsettling to realize your features aren't as unique as you once thought, that somewhere out there, there's another you walking around, living a life you'll never know. We ordered drinks, and the moment we both asked for a beer, same brand, even the flight attendant shook her head like the universe was playing a joke. We clinked cans, with a laugh that felt half amused, half nervous, like this whole situation was hovering somewhere between coincidence and simulation theory. While we talked, people kept stopping at our row to look. A man asked if he could take a picture for his wife, who would never believe this. Another woman said she needed proof to show her friends. I felt like a museum display. Rare sight, two of the same man. At one point, Tom leaned in and said quietly, "Do you ever think about how many decisions led us both to this exact seat?" His voice wasn't dramatic, just curious. Studies suggest that most people could have around 6 unrelated lookalikes somewhere in the world, but the chance of meeting one naturally can be as rare as 1 in a million. It's wild. We think we're unique, but statistically, there are copies of us out there. Anyway, I started wondering about alternate paths. If someone else looks like me, could someone also be like me? Think like me? Have my habits, my routines, my tiny quirks? The idea was both comforting and slightly eerie, like maybe none of us are as singular as we believe. Tom showed me a photo from a pub a few months earlier, him with another guy who looked a lot like us. Not perfectly, but close enough that if you told someone we were triplets, they wouldn't question it. I stared at the screen and felt a strange chill, not scary, just surreal, like the world had layers I hadn't noticed before. The more we talked, the stranger it felt. Not uncomfortable, just uncanny. Like seeing a version of yourself who made slightly different choices in life. He loved hiking more than I did. I preferred writing. He had a dog. I had a cat. Tiny variations, but the base blueprint, practically cloned. We joked about switching passports just to see if anyone noticed, though neither of us would ever actually try it. Still, the thought alone made us laugh in that mischievous, childlike way adults rarely access anymore. It felt good to laugh like that, openly, unexpectedly. Somewhere over the sea, the sky outside turned soft and blue-gray, clouds rippling like quiet waves. Tom fell into conversation about travel, places he'd seen, places he still wanted to go. I found myself listening closely, imagining what my life would look like if I was more spontaneous, more adventurous, more like him. In return, I told him things too, small confessions I don't usually voice. How routine sometimes makes me feel like I'm living life on autopilot. How I keep meaning to try new things, but always promise next month instead. He nodded, like he understood perfectly, and I believed he did. Hours passed quicker than I expected. What should have been a quiet, forgettable flight became something like 2 parallel lives crashing into each other for one brief moment. The longer I sat beside him, the more I wondered, if I met another version of me, what parts would be the same? What parts would be different? When the wheels touched down, the cabin filled with that familiar shuffle, seatbelts unclicking, people reaching for bags, phones lighting up with notifications. But I felt oddly still. Like leaving the plane meant stepping away from a mirror I didn't know I needed until then. We stood in the aisle, waiting our turn to exit. A woman passing by insisted on taking one last picture of us together. We leaned shoulder to shoulder again, smiling. Not forced, a real smile this time. The kind that comes from knowing you've shared something rare, even if you can't explain what it meant. At the terminal, we exchanged social media handles, promised to grab a drink someday. The kind of promise strangers make without knowing if life will follow through. But as he walked away through the crowd, I watched his silhouette blend into the sea of travelers and felt something shift inside me. Later that night, the photo we took ended up online. Friends tagged me. People joked about simulations, copy glitches, parallel universes. I laughed. How could I not? But behind the laughter, there was something else. A tiny voice wondering if we crossed paths with these versions of ourselves for a reason. I still think about that flight sometimes, not with regret, but with quiet fascination. It's strange how one coincidence can make you question identity, fate, uniqueness. Maybe we're all reflections of someone else in some corner of the world. And maybe, just once, I got to meet mine. Seat 14B, 2 hours over the sea. If you've ever met someone who made you rethink who you are, even for a moment, you'll understand why this stayed with me. Thank you for listening. And if you'd like to hear more real stories like this one, please subscribe.